Hello everyone and a very warm welcome. In this tutorial, we are going to create a PCF control using a third-party library known as Canvas Confetti. So a big shout out library creator for creating such an awesome library. And using this library, we are going to create an effect which looks something like this. Now, why do you want to actually create this effect in PCF? Firstly, this effect will go ahead and make your Power Apps beautiful. Secondly, the confetti effect adds touches of celebratory charm as well as digital experience, right? So it gives you better look and feel. So that being said, let's create our PCF control from scratch and let's see the problems that we faced during the creation of the PCF control. So here I'm going to open a folder. I have already created a folder out here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to open it in Visual Studio Code. Perfect. Once I have opened up in Visual Studio Code, the important thing out here is to have some tools in place. So I have got the Power Platform tools. I have already installed them. If you don't have it installed, please go ahead and install them. Once you install them, you should have access to the CLI. So to access the CLI, what I'm going to do is I'm going to open the terminal. The terminal is down here. And the first thing is that I'm going to initialize a project. To initialize a project, we are going to use the pack PCF command. So the command, I'm going to paste it out here to avoid any typos. So let's look at the command. So it says pack PCF initialize a control. Initialize a PCF control, and the namespace of the control will be confetti PCF component demo, and the name of the component would be PCF confetti PCF control demo, and the template will be of type field. Okay. So once you hit this command, the project is initialized, and here, my friends, you see that it has created us the project structure. Before we get into the project structure, what I want to do is I want to go ahead and run npm install. What it tells me out here, be sure to run npm install or an equivalent command. Let's run npm install. This will install all the prerequisites that are required for my project. Perfect. So it has installed few of the packages. Now that it has installed few of the packages, let's install the Canvas Confetti package as well. So I'm going to click on install, and this package will be installed in my project. Perfect. So the package has been installed. Now that the packages have been installed and the prerequisites are in place, let's look at the project structure. So the main folder is confetti PCF control demo. Under it, you will have the manifest file, that is the metadata about the control. It has all the information that you need about the control, including the version number, the constructor, the description of the control, and it also has properties in it. So here you see that it has one sample property, and if I go to the generated and if I go to manifest types, you will see the same property out here. So this is where you can find the properties that you see in the property pane. In addition to that, you have multiple other things that you can configure, like what exactly is the group, what should be the index of the files, in which sequence the files should load. Then if you use resources such as web API, utility, device.barcode, you can go ahead and uncomment this section. And that's pretty much it. So we don't need many of the sections, so I'm going to get rid of them. So I'm not going to use, and let me also remove the external usage section. Perfect. So this is the bare minimum that a project can have. We'll revisit this file again, but all you need to know is that it contains the metadata of your project, and you can define the property, and that properties you can find it in the manifest type.d.ts file. Perfect, right? So now that you have this file, the next important file, or in fact the most important file, is the index.ts file. The index.ts file is a file which can help you create the control. Okay, this is going to be the place where you're going to write the code and create your control. It has got methods such as initialize, what happens when the control initializes, you can add your code here. What happens when the code component updates, that's what you're going to write in here. If you're going to return something from your control, you'll pass it in the get outputs. And finally, the cleanup of the control, if necessary, you can write it out here. So let's write some code in the initialize section. So first and foremost, let's look at the documentation, right? So it has got very extensive documentation. We have already gone ahead and installed the package, the npm package. Now it tells me that when you install the npm, the package can be required as a client component in your project to build. Okay, good. And to do that, we need to require it in our project. So it tells me that it needs to be required in our project. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So I'll copy this line, go back here and hit this. Okay, I'll save this. The next thing is we can pass in the options or the type of the parameters. It talks about the parameters. So it tells me what type of confettis can it be, what colors, what shapes. In fact, you can use circle, square, etc., etc. That's awesome. Then it tells you the shape path. That is as well awesome. So that is good. Then this is an example that you might want. So if you want to add a triangle, you can go ahead and use this. Let's quickly go down and look. If you want to use a pineapple type, you can use this code. However, this code is something that I need, right? Because firstly, I need to append an element into the body, and what it tells me, I need to create an element of type canvas. So I'm going to copy this line of code, right? And I'm going to paste this into my code editor. So let me copy this and let me paste this in. Now this variable, what I'm going to do, I'm going to initialize it outside the constructor. Okay, I'm going to initialize it under my class, and I'm going to go and tell, okay, I'm going to create it here. So private my canvas, and it's of type HTML. This will help me access this variable like this. So now I can access it throughout my code. So this looks good. I have added it out here. And as I told you, the next step is that we want to append this to the body. Perfect. So I'm going to append it not to the body, to the container. Why I'm going to append it to the container? Because container is the main element out here of type div. And everything that I create, the HTML elements, should be appended to the container. Now that this has been done, let's go back and look at the code again. So here I can just copy paste it in. It's creating a confetti. I can resize it. It creates a spread and it creates a particle count. So particle count and spread is what it creates. So I can paste this in. And instead of using my canvas, I'm going to use this .my canvas because that's how I have used it in my code. And this looks good. However, let me add two more properties out here. That is the width and height, so that we can play around, so that we can go ahead and, style it better. So I'm going to add some properties such as height and width, and I'm going to set it to 100%. Now, while I set it to 100%, there's something important that I need you to know. Okay, this is the section that I wanted to point you to. When you resize it using the CSS, the display size of the canvas, so that's what we are doing, right? Initially, it is of size 300 by 150. We need to understand this, that this particular canvas effect is of type JPG, right? And setting it to maybe a bigger size can make the image look blurry. So be careful with this. You can go ahead and as you have set it to resize, you can resize it in your Power Apps as well. I've just given you the freedom such that you can resize it within your Power Apps, and initially we'll set it to 100%. That's pretty much it. So this looks good. This looks awesome. So what I want to do at this point, as this has been created, let's go ahead and try to build it. So npm run build, and let's see what really happens out here. Okay, this is not good. It gives me an error and it tells me that, ESLint required is not defined. Perfect. So required is not defined, but TypeScript goes ahead and supports required, right? So what I'm going to do, I spent a little bit of time trying to debug this error, and the solution that I got would be to modify none other than eslint.json file. In the eslint.json file, we can create exceptions for these sort of errors. So let me open this file and let's look at this file. Come on. Okay, perfect. So it has got rules. So it tells me, no unused variable false, other things are just fine. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to modify this file such that I can resolve this problem and I can build the solution. So I'm going to copy some text out here, which tells me, no undefined, just warn me. What really happens, no use of define of, TypeScript non-use variables of, and TypeScript no explicit any, again, you can turn it to off. And TypeScript no use before define, just go ahead and throw an error, right? This is what I'm going to add in my eslint src.json file. I'm going to save this file first, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to again try to build it. Success. Congratulations. You have successfully gone and built your PCF control. Now, if you get some error like this, I will drop this configuration in one of my blogs and I'll tag the blog in the description section below. Go ahead and try to use the solution that I have provided. Now that I have gone ahead and, created this, what we can do is we can say npm run, or I can just say npm start. This will open the test harness and will give us an option to, see if our code is actually working. And if I go here, if I just refresh my screen, yes, my friends, the confetti effect has been loaded. Just let me refresh it. It has been loaded. However, let's go ahead and look at it in a little more details. Let's say that I want to go ahead and modify the spread. Instead of 160, I can say, let's make it 70 or 80. And if I look at my property pane, I have a property known as sample property. But sample property is of type single line of text, and we need to pass in a number out here. So let's revisit our control manifest.json file. In this file, I'm going to use this sample property, but I'm going to set the sample property to a type of whole number. So let's modify this a bit. So as I told you, what I'm going to do is instead of sample property, I'll say it's spread. And I'm going to set the display key to confetti spread. I can give it a meaningful description. So let me quickly copy a description out here. Not going to spend time typing stuff. Copy paste is my friend. But here what I want to do is I want to add a type number. So what really happens if I type number out here? This is important. Let's go ahead and see. If I do an npm start build, it gives me an error. it tells me that, the properties that I can use are these, and maybe the number is not there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to open a notepad, and it does not show me of type number. However, what it shows me is a type whole.none. So whole.none can be used instead of number, right? So understand this, just typing in number will not work. You'll get this error. So I'm going to type in whole.none. At this point, if I try to build it again, I have a success. Now that I have added this, the next step would be to use this out here, right? So how do I use this? To use this, I first need to use the context dot parameter dot spread dot raw. So this is the property which will return me this particular number that I put it in the property pane. So what I'm going to do for this, I'm going to say npm run build again, and I'm going to say npm start. Perfect. So here now you see the value is set to 0, and if I refresh the screen, it just explodes straight, right? Let's say that I want to go ahead and spread the confettis. I can put in 75 and I'm going to click on refresh. Here you see that it has spread. If I say 160 in this particular setting, it spreads more. So this is how you can configure the properties in the property pane and pass it to your PCF control. Awesome, right? But now every time I need to do this, I need to click on refresh. Let's configure a setting such that whenever something in the property bag changes, an out-of-box property or a custom property, our confetti should explode. We should not do it only during initialization. So to do that, I'm going to define one variable, and the variable is notify that the output has changed. It's going to be under my class, and it's going to be of type void. I'm going to use this variable first in the initialize method. Okay, I'm just going to paste it here. Now that being said, nothing will happen with that, right? We need to do something in the update view. The update view is what happens when the property or the property bag is being changed. That is when this code has been triggered. Now what I can simply do in this particular scenario is I can just copy this line, the required one, right? And then I can use this code. Okay, we don't need to append it to the container again because it's already appended, and I can go ahead and paste this in. Now that I have pasted it in, as I told you, I don't need to append it. So I'm going to remove this. This should work, or the PCF control should trigger even when the property pane changes, right? Whenever a property in the property pane changes. So let's try to build it again, and let's try to start it. Perfect. So this has been updated. If I set this to 75, even if I type, right, it's updating. If you look at this, if I type in 10, it updates. If I type in 100, it spreads more. If I do 10, again, it spreads less. So here, my friends, you see that we can go ahead and, trigger the PCF control when you update the particular control. So isn't that awesome? And that can be done in the update view. That being said, we are not going to pass any outputs, nor are we going to use any cleanup jobs out here. So that being said, let me go back, and the next step would be to package this control and build it, right? So I'm going to go ahead and first package this console. Before doing that, I need to create a folder so that it can store my solutions. So I can type in mkdir. I can put in solution, enter. So I can do cd solution, enter. Perfect, right? So at this point, what I can do is I can create a command such that it creates a solution. Okay, it tells me, let me look at the error first. In fact, I should type it in again. Okay, it complains about the length. It cannot be, it has to be between 2 and 8. So I'll say cloud, right? That's enough. Now if I hit enter, it should create a solution, and it has indeed created a solution. So if I go back into my folder, it has some code out here. Now that the code is in here, what I need to do, I need to go ahead and add the reference to this solution. Okay, so to do that, I'm going to add a reference path. So the path will be the root folder. So I'm in the solutions. This will be the root folder. I'm going to copy it in and paste it out here. So let me add double quotes around it and hit enter. So this will go ahead and, add reference, and that's perfect. Now that I have added reference, I'm going to open Visual Studio Developer Tools and try to use the ms build command. Okay, so I'm going to run this. I'm going to run this as an admin. So I'm going to use Visual Studio Developer command prompt. I'm going to change the path. So I'm going to do a cd. I'm going to go into the solutions folder. I'm going to cd into it. And now what I can do is I can do an ms build. So I have hit the ms build command and it's trying to build the solution. So if I go back to solution, if I go to bin, I have the solution.zip file. So let me try and import the solution. So I'm going to go here and import the solution, and I'm going to click on next, and I'm going to click on import. Perfect. So the solution is trying to get imported, and let's wait. In the meantime, let me go ahead and check if, the code components are enabled. So I'm going to click on Admin Center. Inside the Admin Center, I can click on Environments, select the default environment. I'm going to click on Settings, click on Product. I'm going to use click on Features. And I'm going to scroll down, and it's off. So I'm going to enable this again. The feature that I enabled was Power Apps Component Framework for Canvas apps. Because I'm going to use it, it is by default enabled for, model-driven apps. Perfect. This has been saved. This has been published. Let's create an app. Let's try to add the code component out here. So it tells me confetti control is here. That's good. Click on import. So if I go into the controls, confetti control is here. And the control is actually working. If you see, right? It is working, and it will stop working. It will only go ahead and work if the property or the property pane changes. So here you see, I put it to 75. I can also change this property, some other property, and it should trigger. So let's go ahead and say visible. If I go ahead and say visible false, it's not there. But if I set it to visible true, you see, it goes ahead and triggers. So congratulations, my friends. You have created a PCF control in round about 30 minutes. I hope that you have learned something informative. Yes, you need to understand basics of JavaScript to create this, but it's no rocket science. If you have any questions, go ahead and reach out to me, and I'm more than happy to assist you. Thank you. Have a great day, and bye-bye.